Good evening. My name is Gary Ripple, and it will be my pleasure to sit in for President Tim Sullivan, who normally emcees this special induction ceremony. The President's schedule prevented him from being with us tonight, but he has asked me to congratulate the inductees and to express his sincere regrets that he could not be here in person. The growth and development of the Hall of Fame has been no less than remarkable. From its beginning, its purpose was to identify and honor elite players, coaches, and contributors who have been instrumental in establishing and molding women's intercollegiate tennis. This seventh induction, celebrating the accomplishments of 6 exceptional pioneers of the game, 5 players and 1 coach, is another milestone toward accomplishing that goal. Louise Gangler, chairman of the ITA Women's Committee and coach of the Princeton tennis team, is with us to bring you greetings from the ITA on behalf of David Benjamin. Please join me in welcoming Louise as she comes to the podium.
Thank you. Well, let me begin by thanking the College of William & Mary, the President's Office, the Athletic Department, and Millie West for making this wonderful evening possible. A very special thanks to Mark and Betsy McCormick for their very generous role in establishing the Hall of Fame here at the College of William & Mary. I do bring regrets from David Benjamin, who is in Dallas, Texas, at our National ITA Indoor Championships being held there this weekend. But on behalf of David and the ITA Board of Directors and the ITA as a group, I'm very pleased to offer our congratulations to this group of inductees here this evening. This is a very special event and a very meaningful event for the ITA. And we're certainly very pleased to have this opportunity not only to honor these amazing women, but to thank them for the contributions that they have given to the game of tennis and to college tennis. So congratulations to the group here, and we thank you very much.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Charter Hall of Fame members Mark and Betsy McCormick. It's most appropriate to have them with us, playing important roles in the Hall of Fame induction weekend, because it is their time, energy, and financial support that has allowed the dream of founding the Women's ITA Hall of Fame to become a reality. Any event of this type is really an opportunity, a special opportunity, to honor a lifetime of achievement and the character of Mark McCormick. His achievements in the international business and sports, in international business of sports and entertainment are well documented, but few are aware of his personal involvement and contributions outside the business world. At William & Mary, he began supporting tennis in the late 70s when he funded the very first athletic scholarship awarded to a woman at the college. Since then, his and Betsy's support has grown to fund multiple tennis scholarships and program needs for the men's and the women's programs, construction of the Indoor Tennis Center, and the creation of the Hall of Fame. If you've been thinking that Betsy stands in her husband's shadow, you might want to extend your thinking process. She has made her own mark as a professional tennis player, as a philanthropist, commentator, author, and mother, not necessarily in that order. Her refreshing vitality, enthusiasm, and radiant smile belie a powerful serve and volley game that has made her one of the world's best singles and doubles players. And now to present the 2002 inductees into the ITA Women's Collegiate Tennis Hall of Fame, please welcome Betsy Nagelson McCormick.
So as you know, tennis has been a very dominant factor in my life. Therefore, no one takes greater pleasure than I do in extolling the accomplishments of these distinguished women being honored here tonight. This year's inductees are Jean Arth from the College of St. Catherine, Pam Richmond Champagne from Arizona State, Betty Pratt from Rollins, Nancy Reed, also from Rollins, Ann Valentine from Brigham Young, and Laura DuPont from the University of North Carolina. These were extraordinary athletes who had exceptional careers. They transcended the role of great players and contributors, for they were willing pioneers for all women in sports. Our inductees worked their way through college and most often held down full-time jobs as they played and won national and international championships. Now, let us learn more about each of them. Please let the cameras roll on our first inductee, Jean Arth, a gifted athlete by any standard.
With a dime store racket and 4 months practice time each year, Jean Arth made it from Minnesota to the world's top 10. Showing great promise, Jean and her sister Shirley were taken under the wing of local club pro Lou Sukup. Arth developed an all-court game and a powerful forehand. "I couldn't believe a little girl could hit a forehand like that," said champion Vic Satius. Helped out by the Northwest tennis patrons, Arth was able to compete in the National Juniors, where she was a finalist in doubles. During long Minnesota winters, she kept in shape playing ice hockey. In 1953, Arth received the highest honor for a junior player, the Girls' Sportsmanship Award. While a student at the College of St. Catherine, Arth reached the singles finals and won the doubles at the National College Girls Championships 3 years in a row. After graduation, Arth joined the women's circuit while working full-time as a high school teacher. One of her greatest triumphs came in 1958 at the U.S. Nationals. A semifinalist in singles, Arth paired with Darlene Hard to win the doubles crown. The unseeded team upset #1 ranked Althea Gibson and Maria Bueno in a 3-set thriller. Arth enjoyed another banner year in 1959, competing on the Whiteman Cup team and successfully defending her U.S. doubles title. She also traveled to Wimbledon, which she called amazing. The partnership of Hard and Arth again prevailed as the pair won the doubles crown on center court. Arth returned home to St. Paul and the world champion quietly retired from tennis. Enjoying a 37-year career as an educator, Arth was inducted into the Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame in 1986. Competing without fanfare or monetary rewards, Arth was a true athlete. She played for the love of the game.
Janet Atkinson, a 1999 inductee who played for Seattle University, told a humorous story about the time she and Jean were playing in the National College Girls Tournament in St. Louis. They were from different colleges, but they played doubles together, and they were housed in a private home and shared a room. As expected, Jean and Janet advanced to meet each other in the finals. At 3 a.m. in the morning on the day of the finals, they were awakened by their host and asked to help deliver their prize cat's litter of kittens. The next morning, they were sleep deprived, and it was so hot that the court was actually melting under their feet, causing them to dig huge divots in the asphalt when they ran. Their feet became so hot that they had to pour pitchers of water over them at the changeovers so they could finish the match. We've come a long way since then. And now I would like to introduce some of Jean's very special friends who have traveled from Minnesota to be with her tonight. The president of the College of St. Catherine, Sister Andrea Lee, the athletic director, Sheila Brown, and her 2 very special friends, Alice Swanson and Sharon Van Ottingen. We are delighted that you could be here. Would all of you please stand, be recognized. Jean, would you please come forward to accept your award?
Thank you very much. I didn't know they were going to give my whole speech. Being inducted into the ITL Women's Hall of Fame is not only a personal honor, but one I must also share equally with my family, with the College of St. Catherine, with my friends in the Northern Tennis section. All of us who are being honored this weekend share a common bond. However, each one of us has a unique story regarding our tennis and educational experiences. I was born in pre-Title IX era. During my playing days, it wasn't popular for women to participate, compete, or be involved in sports. With that in mind, I will briefly tell you my tennis story. In 1940, when I was 5 years old, my parents bought their first and only home just 3 doors from the St. Paul Tennis Club. They bought the home not with tennis in mind, but it was close to school, church, and public transportation. Tennis was never a consideration because the tennis club was a private club, mainly for wealthy members from the Crocus Hill area in St. Paul. My family, as I said before, we did not have money, so there was never a possibility of joining the club. My dad played a little tennis at public courts, and my sister Shirley and I had our dime store rackets, and once in a while we would go with them. When we moved near the tennis club, we would go up to the school ground, and as the film showed, a fellow named Louis Sukup, who was more a caretaker of the court, saw us and said one day that we could come in and use the practice board if we got there before the women members arrived at 10 o'clock. We also had to wear all white clothes. When the women members arrived, we would have to get off the court, but when they saw that we could play when we were about 8 or 9 years old, sometimes we would substitute for some of the people who did not show up. Then as we became better, we became a part of their group. Looking back, I am certain this is how I learned the game of doubles. In fact, just the other day, there was publicity in the St. Paul and Minneapolis paper, and two of the women who are 89 and 85 years old called me to congratulate me. And I said, whether you know it or not, it was you women who helped me to become a doubles player. Education was always important to me, and I enjoyed learning. In high school, I knew I wanted to pursue a teaching career. Some tennis enthusiasts suggested that we move so I could play tennis year-round, but I never even gave a thought to playing women's tennis on the national circuit. My focus was to become a teacher. I chose to enroll at the College of St. Catherine in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I earned my BA degree in education in 1956. Today, under the leadership of Sister Andrea Lee, St. Catherine's, with an enrollment of 4,700 students, is the nation's largest and most comprehensive Catholic college for women. While at St. Catherine's, I played in the inaugural College Girls Tournament, and you heard that is true about getting up in the middle of the night to watch the kittens being born. But the good point about that, the previous 2 years we had to stay in a dormitory when the temperature was about 110. This family had air conditioning, so it was a good trade-off. In the National College Girls, I was a 3-time doubles champion and a 3-time singles finalist. Upon graduation, I began my 37-year teaching career, 20 years in physical education and 17 years as a high school counselor. For 5 years, I also coached the boys' varsity tennis team. In 1957, at the urging of the Northern Tennis section, I decided to play on the women's tennis circuit. In my first year back, I was ranked 7 in the United States in singles and 5 in doubles. The summer of 1958 was my most memorable year. I was scheduled to play doubles with Janet Hops, but she injured her back, and so she did not come east. Darlene Hard, who was a camp counselor that year outside of Boston, was without a partner, and she asked me to play. And that was my most memorable year because we were unseated and we defeated Althea Gibson and Maria Bueno, the number 1 and 2 players in the world. We were the first unseeded team and the youngest at age 23, old ladies today, to win the title. A week later, in the U.S. Singles Championships, being unseeded, I defeated the number 5 and number 2 players to reach the semis. That year, I was ranked 6th in singles and 1 in doubles. In 1959, my entry was accepted at Wimbledon, and Darlene and I won the ladies' doubles, and I was a semifinalist in the mixed doubles. I was fortunate to play 5 or 6 matches on center court and leave Wimbledon center court with a Wimbledon title and trophy. Today, when I see center court on TV, I still feel like it was a dream, somewhat like the impossible dream that came true. As a young player from Minnesota, it never, ever crossed my mind that someday I would go to Wimbledon, play on center court, and come home with the Wimbledon trophy. Also, I was a member of the United States Whiteman Cup team, and in August, Darlene and I won our 2nd U.S. doubles. During the summer of 1959, I decided this would be my last summer on the tennis circuit. In order to improve, I would have to give up teaching and move to a state where I could play full-time. I wasn't willing to give up my teaching career to chase after trophies or tennis titles. Open tennis was still a long ways off, so that ended my tennis career. I have no regrets regarding my tennis days. I have fond memories of places I've been and the people I've met on and off the courts. Disappointments were few and temporary. Under the circumstances, I accomplished far more than I ever thought possible. Being the only person from Minnesota to hold 3 Grand Slam titles, a semifinalist at the U.S. Singles Championship, and a member of the winning U.S. Whiteman Cup team, plus my junior and senior rankings, is my legacy to the game of tennis. As a legendary sports writer, Grantland Rice once wrote, and I quote, "When the great scorer comes to mark against your name, he'll write not won or loss, but how you play the game." Thank you for this honor and a wonderful weekend, and thank you to my friends who came and traveled here to share this honor with me tonight. Thank you.
She's just over 5 feet tall, but Pam Richmond Champagne reached the heights of competitive tennis. A Kansas City native, Champagne first picked up a racket in 1962 at the age of 11. 2 months later, she captured her first trophy as a singles finalist in a citywide tournament. "We had to shave my racket down to fit my tiny hand," Champagne recalls. Because of her size, she developed a 2-handed backhand, a novelty at the time. A tenacious competitor, Champagne quickly dominated the juniors in her Missouri Valley section. She also leapt up the national junior rankings and reached number 6 in girls 18 and under singles. Champagne's success rekindled her father Marvin's interest in the game. He later became president of the USTA. Like her father, who played tennis at Harvard, Champagne moved on to college competition, entering Arizona State University in 1968. Playing under legendary coach Ann Pittman, Champagne was National Collegiate Singles finalist as a freshman. The effervescent Champagne also found time to learn the latest dance steps, including the funky chicken. All business on the court, Champagne reached the pinnacle of college tennis as a junior in 1971, when she captured the national singles title, won the doubles with ASU teammate Peggy Michael, and helped the Sun Devils win the team title. The following year, Champagne reached the singles finals against Linda Metcalf, repeated her doubles win, and again joined her team in taking the national crown. Graduating summa cum laude, Champagne also earned a top 20 USTA ranking, competing on the Satellite Tour. A longtime teaching pro, she now applies her coaching skills with business executives as owner of the Champagne Group. Proving that size doesn't matter, Pam Richmond Champagne stands at the top of the record books in women's collegiate tennis.
I thought at 5 feet and a half an inch, you would have to be the country's smallest collegiate or professional player. But it has been brought to our attention that Hazel Whiteman was only 5 feet tall. That puts you in very good company. As with Mrs. Whiteman, opponents thought your size would give them an automatic advantage. It didn't take long for them to realize they were playing with the miracle midget. While still a student at Arizona State, Pam played in her first professional tournament as an amateur. She won 2 qualifying rounds, only to meet Billie Jean King in the first round of the regular tournament. Billie Jean looked down at her and said, "And why, you're even shorter than Rosie." Not to be outdone, Pam said, "And you aren't so tall yourself." With Pam tonight are her husband, Frank, her ASU coach, Ann Pittman, and 2 very good friends, Tom and Eileen Claypool. Would you all please stand? Pam, would you please come forward?
That is truly amazing, seeing a video of yourself like that. I mean, it just touched my heart. I can't even describe what it's like to see something like that. And whoever put the video together, I appreciate it so much. I've been feeling so comfortable and so at home here. I think it's because everywhere I look, I see my name. Staying on Richmond Road. Millie's lovely reception was on Richmond Hill Court. Flew into the Richmond airport. It's everywhere I turn, I see my name. But I think the real reason that I feel so comfortable and so at home is because you all have been making me feel that way. This weekend has just exceeded my expectations. It's been fabulous, and I thank all of you for that. Over a year ago, when I received that induction invitation, it really initiated an amazing process for me. It felt like I was receiving this gigantic box that was beautifully wrapped with a big bow on it, and bit by bit I would take out a surprise gift from this large box. Going through my old scrapbooks and my photo albums from college days, and it was really important to me because I have these strong tendencies to seek the unexplored, and sometimes I have an equally strong tendency to just kind of lose touch with where I came from. So this really afforded me a unique opportunity to integrate a very rich past and to get closer to myself and to important people in my life. Yes, a lot has been said about my size, and while I was combing through my gigantic scrapbook, I was given this scrapbook when I was about 12 years old that was like bigger than I was, and I was combing through it, and I saw this article in there. There's another Pam who was over 6 feet tall, and so there was a reporter at a tennis tournament who decided that would make a great story angle, the 2 Pams, the one that's 5 feet and the other one that's 6 feet. And some of you probably know this person. It's Pam Austin, who's Tracy Austin's sister. And she, the reporter just was, asking us all these questions geared to our body size. And I was quoted in this article when I was reading through the scrapbook, and it said, "I'll probably be buying clothes in the girls' department as a middle-aged old lady." Well, as it turned out, it was very predictive because I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. 2 weeks before I went through the scrapbook and saw this article, I had gone to the girls' department at the Bond and got myself a vest. But what really disturbed me is the way that I saw my future self. Middle-aged old lady. I'd like to congratulate the fellow inductees, and it's just been so fun getting to know you during this weekend, and I feel really honored to be a part of this group. very, very honored. I'd like to thank my dad for instilling in me the idea that I could do anything that I set my mind to. I think that for a long time that I didn't understand the significance of that for a female. I want to thank my mother for just being there for me and for loving me so much. And I don't want to forget to thank my brother Brett, who put up with all the focus that we had on tennis, which was considerable. I'm very happy that my husband Frank could be here to help celebrate, and also Eileen and Tom coming from Memphis. It's just made it so wonderful to have you a part of this. And then I'd like to thank somebody very, very special to me, and that's my college coach and friend, Ann Pittman. Because without her, none of this would have been possible. Has always been incredibly supportive. It seems like she always knew exactly what to say to me. She also cracked me up a lot. She's got a great sense of humor. Yes, I think I'm trying to remember. I had to think really hard to bring back some memories of college days, because sometimes, like I said, I tend to lose touch with the past sometimes. And I have some really times that I remembered where we were on that long stretch of freeway between Phoenix and California. Big desert, you just go for miles and miles and you don't see anything but the desert. And she just had this real knack for running out of gasoline. So, one time she left me and Peggy in the back of the car as the state patrolman took her to the gas station to get some gas. And then I remember another time when she ran out of gas again, and we were just barely coasted. There was this little hill to the exit of the freeway, and we were able to coast down that, and there was a gas station right around the corner. And she tells me that she still has this little habit today. Another thing I have memory of is Ann trying to haul me out of bed in the morning. I have always been a terrible morning person, and I'm happy to say I haven't changed at all. And she used to have to haul me out of bed really early, and just to have an exceptionally long warm-up for my tennis matches, or I would lose the first set really easily. And sometimes I think my warm-ups were longer than my tennis matches. There's one incident that really stands out in my memory, and that was when I was playing in the Ojai Invitational. And I had split sets, and it was during the 10-minute break, and I was just about to go back out on the court again. And she looked at me and she said, "Just remember, we love you whether you win or not." And I don't think she has any idea how much that meant to me. So before I go, I want to show you something I brought. This is the ball that I prefer to play with these days. If any of you like to try it, I highly recommend it. It's really made a difference, especially for a middle-aged old lady. Thank you very much.
According to Betty Pratt, there's no such thing as old age. And she's proved it with 6 decades of championship tennis. Honing her skills as a teenager in New Jersey, Pratt rose through the Junior Whiteman Cup ranks and captained the first national team. She entered Rollins College in 1943, the year she won the USTA's Girls Sportsmanship Trophy. Competing alongside other tennis standouts, including Shirley Fry, Pratt and her teammates also entertained the troops with exhibition matches during the war years. After college, Pratt went to work, married, and then roared back on the tennis circuit. She made it to the Wimbledon semifinals in 1954, playing against champion Maureen Connolly. She reached number 5 in the world before retiring from the circuit. Never slowing down, Pratt ran the Caribbean tennis circuit for a decade and captained the U.S. Whiteman Cup and Fed Cup teams in the late 1960s. Praising Rollins for giving her so much, She also helped out her alma mater assistant coach, Jenny Mack. Seeking more opportunities for older players, Pratt and colleague Nancy Reed founded the National Senior Women's Tennis Association in 1976. She took advantage of those opportunities, eventually winning more than 75 USTA senior titles on all 4 surfaces. She's also won a spate of World ITF singles and doubles titles and competed on USTA international teams in 4 different age groups. A champion for the ages, Betty Pratt has shown that tennis is the sport of a lifetime. "I love to compete," she says. "There's nothing more fun than figuring out how to win a tennis match."
Mention Betty Pratt's name, and the instant response is a broad smile. Everybody loves Betty. When she was a sophomore at Columbia High School in Maplewood, New Jersey, there was no girls' team, and the boys' tennis coach allowed her to play second singles on the boys' team. She won. She beat a boy. New Jersey Scholastic Athletic Authorities went crazy, and within a week, she was off the team. That was 1941. Being a native Floridian, I remember the first time that I had the opportunity to hit with Betty Pratt. I was a young teen, and I thought, I can't believe Betty is going to hit with me. And it was such a thrill, and Betty was so gracious to me and was so encouraging. And it's the things like that that are so meaningful to young kids growing up that want to be somebody that you admire so much. And Betty Pratt was somebody that I certainly admired tremendously. And celebrating this evening with Betty is her son John and her colleague from Rollins, Coach Jenny Mack. John and Jenny, would you please stand? And Betty, would you please come forward?
I have to thank my parents because they thought I was pretty good. I didn't think so. And it took a long time for them to convince me that maybe I could do something with my tennis. I was sort of an introvert. But they gave me every opportunity, even though we're just coming up from 1933 when my sister contracted polio, and they really didn't know what to do with people in those days. They put her in a cast for 9 months, which of course everything atrophied. But she has been my real hero for all these years, and I really couldn't find ways of complaining about anything, because there was Emily, and she couldn't walk, and she was our super athlete at 4 years of age. She was doing backflips and things on the beach, and she could swim. I couldn't swim. I was just 20 months older. And finally, my dad just threw me in the water and made me swim. But anyway, she has been the backbone of my tennis career. What I'm proudest of, I had a wonderful sort of, I call myself, I was playing in the second echelon, or Avis, for those who understand. We try harder. I was always nipping at the tails, but not quite able to beat the Bruffs and the Harts and Maureen Connolly, people like that. But I think I had a wonderful time, and I like to say that I really saw more of the world because I'd be out of the tournament by about Friday, and I could actually see something. So I've sort of let that make me feel good. What I'm really proudest of, though, is our National Senior Women's Tennis Association. Nancy and Charlene Grafton and I sort of said we thought something should be done because actually at the time the USTA Well, for some reason, it's mostly men, you know. And when we would try and get another tournament, they'd sort of say, well, why aren't you back in the kitchen? You know. So we really didn't get much support. The aftermath of getting National Senior Women organized is that then we finally had international teams. And of course, the men had been doing it for quite a few years, and we thought, really, it's about time you let us go and compete. So we, as I said, by then, Nancy and her people were doing most of the work. Actually, I was supposed to pay some attention to my kids at home, so I didn't do as much other than play. And so I was sent off to represent the United States on different teams in the different age groups. And that was the most fulfilling for me because I got to interplay with people from many different countries. I remember giving a clinic in Hungary. Well, you know, I'm not very good with languages. I really didn't know much, but we did it all through sign language, and those kind of experiences meant much more to me than winning matches. I think that I'd like to say that I wasn't really an athlete. I have wonderful timing, good eye, and timing. But as a super athlete, my sister would have been much better than I ever was. And I really just like to dedicate this to my sister. Thank you.
With over 90 senior titles to date, Nancy Reed is truly the grande dame of tennis. Growing up outside Washington, D.C., Reed played basketball, soccer, field hockey, and volleyball. She picked up tennis at age 15. Losing her first tournament, 6-love, she showed the fierce determination that soon made her a winner, even playing barefoot because of blisters. Entering Rollins College in 1951, Reed earned the #1 spot on the tennis team. In 1953, the Rollins players retired the Eastern Intercollegiate Trophy. After a 10-year hiatus teaching high school, Reed saved enough money to rejoin the women's tour in 1964, in the days before money tennis. Reaching the USTA Top 25, she competed against some of the game's greats. Retiring from the tour in 1970, her tennis career was only beginning. Moving up to the senior ranks, Reed captured her first national title in 1973 and kept on winning. A co-founder of the Senior Women's Tennis Association and Les Grandes Dames Senior Tournament, Reed created new opportunities for older competitors. She then rose to the #1 ranking herself in nearly every age group. Known for her ground strokes and sharp volleys, Reed has dominated on grass and clay. "If you've got a weakness, she'll beat you to death," a fellow player joked. Reed has competed in all age groups on the USTA's Senior Cup teams. Globe-trotting everywhere from Chile to Australia, Reed is also compiling an impressive winning streak in ITF World Competition. Mentoring younger players, Reed served as captain of the USTA's Suzanne Longlen Cup team. For her countless contributions to the game, Reed won the prestigious USTA Service Bowl Award in 1999. At 70, she shows no sign of slowing down. Odds are, when there's competition for centenarians, Nancy Reed will still be #1.
Very serious about her tennis, Nancy was always in total control of her game. It would have been very uncharacteristic for her to lose her composure on the court. but on one occasion, playing doubles with Belmar Gunnarsson in the ITF Championships in Barcelona, she did. They were in the finals, and Nancy, normally the stronger player of the two, could not find the court. Her balls were flying everywhere, but into the court. Belmar walked over and said, "Nancy, I didn't come all this way to lose, and we are going to lose if you don't start hitting the ball in the court. Just hit the ball to the tee, nowhere else. Just to the tee." Those sharp words reined Nancy in, and they won the match. Once Nancy started playing tennis, she has been like the ever-ready battery bunny. She keeps going without a blip. Here, celebrating with Nancy, are 7 members of her family: Eunice, Carl, Judith, Megan, Carolyn, Karen, and Barbara, as well as her good friend, Patricia Graham. Would all of you please stand? Nancy, would you please come forward?
Wow. My nephew said, you start each speech with a joke. I'm glad this is no joke. With all these people that did these great things when they were younger and playing, I was struggling, and here I am. So I really am excited about it, and I'm very excited that a lot of members of my family are here, and not only that, the past and present coaches of Rollins College, Ginny Mack and Bev Buckley, are here as well as my great supporters, Barb Ferrero and Patricia Graham. So I thank them too. My family, of course, I couldn't be more excited because I live in Florida and they live here. I mean, not here, but Maryland and all that. So here they are. I also want to thank Millie West, my great friend from a long, long time, when I did live in this area, and who would ever thought that we would ever come to this, where she was the person that has this job and has done such a tremendous job of this Hall of Fame, and then Mark and Betsy for their insight and their support of this great Hall of Fame. I was here 2 years ago playing in a tournament, a Grand Dames tournament, and I came to the Hall of Fame just thinking, well, this is just like a regular old place. And I was so amazed at what a job it was, and what a beautiful facility and building. It was awesome. So I went back and I told the people, not only in Florida but all over, that what a great job that has been done here, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. I'll just tell you a couple of little things that has happened in my career. First off, my first match that I played at age 15 or 16, I thought I was pretty darn good. I go out there and I lose love and love. And I thought, I think I'm better than that. So I started on, and I kept playing, and I kept playing, and I ended up playing on the pre-WTA circuit, before money tennis, when we really had a lot of fun. And I didn't win too many matches. Matter of fact, I lost to the best players in the world. But I'll tell you what I did have. I had the whitest tennis shoes on the court, because I wasn't on the court very long. And every night, when we played, we didn't have these shoes, you could throw out and somebody gives you another pair, whatever. We were really particular. You'd put those shoes and you would white those shoes out and you would dry them, and the next day on the court, man, you are really, really looking good. Well, I looked really good, and sometimes I didn't even have to put the white on the next night. Anyway, I continued on and played on, and then we had, I was able to start playing senior tennis, and I thought, gee, this is a great sport, and not only is it a great sport, but it enables women to continue on playing in their age groups. And so that's why, as Betty mentioned, in 1976, we founded the National Senior Women's Tennis Association, Betty, myself, and Charlene Grafton. And actually, they were really a little bit more of the visionaries than I was, but they said, well, we're going to put, I'm not sure what the amount was, but let's just say $100, I think. $100 each, and I said, oh, I don't have that. They said, you're president. So that's how it happened, but it has grown to be a great organization, and we are very, very proud of it. And then 2 years later, with Mary Ann Plant, we founded the Le Grand Dame Circuit, which is senior women's circuit, with prize money, not that much. We're not talking about it that much, but it worked, and it's been going on now ever since, and it is, besides the national tournaments, it's the best attended tournament. We have 4 of them right now, and we're hoping for more. The best attended tournament that there is. I remember watching Bessie play junior tennis in St. Petersburg. And I knew then that in addition to going to be a great player, that she would be a winner off the court as well. And truly she has been. And it's been my pleasure and privilege to know her, even as she started her career off and on now with her injuries, and hopefully now back to the court. All right. Last, this very special moment, November 9th, 2002, at the College of William and Mary, will be the one that I will cherish forever. The significance of this induction surpasses even my past Hall of Fame inductions, because this is the one award where we are being recognized as pioneers in intercollegiate tennis. Thank you for this tremendous honor.
Coach, teacher, pioneer. Anne Valentine has always dared to think big. A coal miner's daughter, Valentine grew up in rural Pennsylvania, one of 10 children of Italian immigrants. She learned tennis by shagging balls at the only court in town, owned by a local doctor. Orphaned at age 9, Anne and her younger brother Sam were raised by their siblings. Sam went on to earn All-America football honors at Penn State. Working her way through college at Slippery Rock, Valentine played #1 on her tennis team. She then coached at Penn State while earning her master's. When Valentine's asthma grew worse, doctors advised a change of climate. Like pioneers before her, Anne went west. Securing positions as coach and assistant professor at Brigham Young University, she set about to transform women's collegiate tennis. With perseverance, enthusiasm, and humor, Valentine developed winning teams while playing one of the toughest schedules in the country. A tireless organizer, she created mixed team play and a round-robin tournament that's now an ITA Grand Slam event. Along with lifetime friend and mentor Ann Pittman of ASU, Valentine also established team competition at the national championships. And her Cougars kept winning, for a total of 15 conference titles and 12 teams in the national top 10. When she retired as coach in 1995, Valentine had compiled the second winningest record ever in NCAA women's tennis. Altogether, 17 of her students earned 31 All-America citations, inspired by Valentine's advice: never give up the dream of who you might become. Valentine's many accolades have included Wilson ITA Coach of the Year in 1995 and the Rolex ITA Service Award the following year. But her highest accolade is the love and respect she's earned from players. As one former student wrote, "You will always hold a special place in our hearts."
Anne Valentine must have coined the phrase, "If you are dealt lemons, just make lemonade." This is exactly what she did. However, I think Anne would have expanded it to make lemonade and share it with everyone around you. Her philosophy was always, do the best you can and more. Ann Pittman says if you ask Anne to jump, she would first say, "How high?" Anne has more than lived up to her name of Valentine, always overflowing with heart and love. Most of us don't have any holidays in our honor. Anne has two, her birthday on January 1st and Valentine's Day. In 1997, when Jenny Mack was inducted, she had a record number of players and friends here. This year, Anne Valentine has set a new record. 34 members of her family are here. 2 coaches, Craig Manning, the current coach at BYU, and Keith Nielsen, Anne's assistant for 18 years, and his wife, plus many players and parents. I would like to introduce each of you, but instead, I'm just going to ask all of you to please stand and be recognized. Anne, would you please come forward?
It is with humility and joy that I stand here tonight, delighted with the honor bestowed upon me by the ITA. Ralph Waldo Emerson proposed, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." The ITA is an organization that has left a trail of radiant and lofty goals, integrity, and high-ranking performance for intercollegiate tennis throughout the United States. I subscribe to these ideals, and I'm especially pleased to be encircled by so many great athletes, coaches, administrators, family, friends, and former Hall of Fame inductees who share these same ideals. I would like to congratulate all of the talented individuals honored here tonight. Each of you has taken the time to look within, and you have been willing to pay the price for making dreams come true. I don't think any of us suspected years ago that we would stand where we are today, sharing the close harmony of our abiding friendship through the love of tennis. But we grew together through days and years, sharing laughter and tears, thoughts and silence, all of these things that have become an unforgettable part of who we are. I'd like to take a few minutes and explain who's really responsible for my being fortunate enough to receive this once-in-a-lifetime award, when there are so many other people more deserving than the humble woman who stands before you. First, you've heard the story about my family and the fact that I lost my parents quite early in life. I was fortunate enough to be raised by 9 wonderful, loving brothers and sisters who shared their love and their meager material possessions. They gave me 15 outstanding nieces and nephews, and many great nieces and nephews, many of whom you've seen here tonight. And most important, they fulfilled the marvelous legacy and aspirations envisioned by our parents. They helped teach me the value of work and gently reminded me that life was not always fair, Nonetheless, I must make the most of it, fair or unfair. I can still hear me remark, well, we can't afford to do that. We just don't have that kind of money. And they always countered with, where there is a will, there is a way. They constantly reminded me, do what is expected, and then some. They never forgot to add the 3 words, and then some. I don't know of a family that has had more fun and shared more love than we have through these many years. I just want you to know that if there is any good that has come of my life, it is due to the unconditional love of my wonderful family and my adopted niece, Katie, all of whom are here with me tonight. Second, an effective head coach or administrator knows the value of surrounding themselves with great assistant coaches. I'm pleased to have my assistant of 15 years, one of the finest coaches in the business, Keith Nielsen, and his wife, Susie, here. And I want Keith to know how much I love and appreciate him. I want him to know I deeply appreciate his diligence, his loyalty, and his desire to make our team and each individual the best that we could possibly be. Keith, this is as much your award as it is mine. And third, unless you have talented players like you and I have here, who believed they had the seed of greatness within themselves, and who knew that winning wasn't everything, but wanting to win was. These were players who were positive, realistic, and not complainers, but instead builders. And as a result, great things happened to our teams. These players and parents are still true friends and a very important part of my life, and I appreciate their attendance here tonight. And last, I can't help but be mindful of the link or tie that binds the good folks in this room together. And that is not only the great game of tennis, but the true spirit of sport, a way of life that each of us would be sad to lose. I want to take this opportunity to thank and to pay special tribute to the College of William and Mary, to Mark and Betsy McCormick, and especially to my dear friend, Millie West, without whom this beautiful event would not be possible. These are the individuals who had the vision of what the Hall of Fame could become. They dreamed about things that never were and said, why not? Millie, I've tried to teach my players something about the importance of giving to others, as you have done tonight. These words fit you perfectly. What you give to the world will be returned to you. Maybe not all at once or in the way you expect it. But if you give your best, the very best will come back to you. May each of us in this room continue to freely share our hopes and fears, the lessons we learn, and the dreams of what can be. Thanks to each of you, Millie, to you good folks here in the stand, to the assistants, Alicia, Tina. What a remarkable and wonderful experience we have had here this weekend. It is something that we will never forget. And just thank you doesn't seem enough. But thank you anyway.
Both on and off the court, Laura DuPont defined the word champion. Largely self-taught, DuPont soared to a #1 ranking among North Carolina juniors. In 1968, she entered the University of North Carolina, where she excelled at basketball as well as tennis, averaging 30 points a game. In the early days of collegiate competition, she dominated the Mid-Atlantic Championships in singles and doubles. But DuPont's greatest triumph came in 1970, when she captured the U.S. Collegiate Singles crown, the first woman in UNC history to win a national title. In 100 years, no one will know I won the Canadian Open, DuPont said, but I'll still be the first at UNC. After After graduation in 1972, DuPont immediately went pro, playing world team tennis and traveling the globe. She racked up singles wins at the Canadian, German, and Argentine Opens, plus numerous doubles titles. On the court, she was unflappable, said colleague Pam Shriver. She knew how to win. A founding member of the Women's Tennis Association, DuPont also served the game for years as WTA treasurer and vice president. She retired from the tour in 1983, but came back to score success in Masters play at the U.S. Open. The longtime manager of Pam Shriver's tennis club in Baltimore, DuPont counted Orioles legend Cal Ripken among her star pupils. In 1997, DuPont returned to North Carolina, where she met another legend, Coach Dean Smith of her beloved Tar Heels basketball team. She then took on the toughest match of her life, battling cancer and the HMO that denied her treatment. If just one person says, "That lady did it, so can I," then some good will have come of this, DuPont said. Embracing life till the end, Laura DuPont will be remembered forever for her champion's heart.
Laura will always be UNC's first national champion, and she will always be the first UNC tennis player to be inducted into the Collegiate Tennis Hall of Fame. Laura was here in 1999 for Peachy Kellmeyer's induction, and when she learned later that she had been selected for the class of 2002, she was so excited. Laura was very conscientious and among the first to get all of her material in. As you saw in the video, I had the privilege of playing doubles with Laura. Besides being a superb doubles player and partner, she had a wonderful, dry sense of humor that kept me laughing a lot of the time. Even though Laura was a couple of years older than I, we were traveling buddies and partners in crime. We traveled the better part of 1976 together, and as I had just turned pro in 1974 and Laura was older and wiser, she was a real mentor to me, a very important person in my career early on. She honored me by playing doubles with me, and we had some very good wins, but that's not what I remember about Laura DuPont. What I remember are the fun excursions and adventures that we had, especially in that 1976 year. When Laura introduced me to so many different places, from Venice, Italy, and learning what a gondola was, of which we rode many, to Florence, Italy, where we both bought our first leather jackets, to Swaziland in Africa, where we bought shields and wooden giraffes, of which I still have, to the wonders of the Grand Canyon. She was a good friend. I could go on all evening tonight speaking about Laura from a month during this period where we decided we were going to give up sugar, which was no easy task for either of us. And we did it, and we celebrated by Laura baking a chocolate cake and the two of us eating all of it. To Laura betting me that I could not go a month without biting my fingernails, another very tough task. And I was able to accomplish that because Laura was able to challenge me in very productive ways. But the thing I remember most about Laura will always be what a fighter she was. And I know for sure that even though she cannot be with us here tonight, she is certainly here in spirit. And with us here tonight, representing Laura, are her sister Suzette and Suzette's husband John, and two of their three children, David and Kristen. Also with us are Laura's brother Greg and Paul's wife Rita, and 6 friends, I believe, are here: Jennifer, Betsy, Marina, Marilyn, Margaret, and Jane, who have traveled from South Carolina to Maryland to celebrate Laura's life and her achievements. Would all of you please stand and be recognized? Greg, would you please come forward and accept this on Laura's behalf?
I'm going to make this short and sweet because I don't know how well I'm going to hold up under this. But Laura would like to thank each and every one of the people who made this possible for her and for all the inductees, which she would like to congratulate along with me. And she would like to, I know she would like to say how wonderful this facility is that they've created here for the women, and it is a very beautiful facility. Laura was very proud of her education and her accomplishments at the University of North Carolina. She was very proud of her education and then her athletes. She was a student athlete in that order, and she was very proud of that, and of her All-American status that she received in 1970. In this day and time, that's very important because she was a role model. She still is. And like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to hold up, but she'd like to thank Mrs. Hogan, who helped her along too, up at the University of North Carolina, who cannot be here with us tonight. And if there's one word to define Laura, it's integrity. And the people of us and all of us who know and love her, that's self-explanatory. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you all very much.
Well, thank you, Betsy and Mark, for making all of our dreams come true and for your continued interest in bringing national prominence to this ITA Hall of Fame. You and the inductees have made this evening a memorable one for everyone. Each class of inductees adds a new dimension and distinctive achievements to the Hall of Fame, and this year's group is certainly no exception. Now, as our evening draws to a close, I ask that you join with me in the fervent hope that the good feelings generated this weekend will last for a long time, at least until we can reconvene and recreate the magic of this moment yet one more time. May each of you enjoy safe travel as you return to your homes. Peace and good night. Thank you very much.